The average American household will spend between $1,500 and $2,500 this winter, keeping their home warm. African builders in the Ethiopian highlands, where temperatures drop near freezing overnight, spend almost nothing. Not because they have smaller homes, because 5,000 years ago, they solved a problem that modern heating systems are still charging you to solve every month. Air conditioning was invented in 1902. Central heating as we know it was invented in the 1880s. Before either of them existed, communities across Africa were maintaining comfortable indoor temperatures through freezing highland winters, using methods that cost almost nothing to run and have never once failed in a power outage. This is how they did it. If you watched our cooling video, you already know that mud brick walls 18 to 24 inches thick keep African homes 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the outside air in summer. What that video did not cover is the other side of the same story. The same walls that keep a home cool in July keep it warm in December. The same building science operating in both directions across both seasons. That is the foundation of this video. And on top of it, 5 African heating methods, each one independently developed, each one costing a fraction of what modern heating costs, and each one still working today across communities that have never once received a heating bill. The scope: 54 countries, 5,000 years, conditions ranging from the near-freezing Ethiopian highlands, where frost forms before sunrise, to the cold Saharan nights that most people do not even know exist. Every cost comparison in this video is a real number, not an approximation, a number you can check against your own bill this winter. One small armload of wood, not a full cord, not a pile that took a weekend to split and stack. One armload, roughly what you could carry under one arm without straining, and a well-built African clay rocket stove will heat a room for 12 to 24 hours. Think of it as a wall that stores your heating bill inside it and slowly pays it back to you while you sleep. The rocket stove principle, burning small diameter fuel in a highly insulated J-shaped combustion chamber to achieve near-complete combustion, is documented in East African cooking and heating traditions centuries before Western engineers gave it a name. The Aprovecho Research Center, which formally documented and named the rocket stove in the 1980s, acknowledged that the design principles were drawn from traditional cooking fire configurations observed in African and other traditional communities. They named it. African builders invented it. Here is the science in one sentence. The J-shaped combustion chamber creates a powerful natural draft that pulls air through the fire so efficiently that nearly all the fuel converts to heat rather than smoke. A traditional open fireplace sends most of its heat straight up the chimney, along with a significant portion of your heating budget. A rocket stove sends it into the room. The difference in efficiency is not marginal. It is the difference between burning a full cord of wood and burning a fifth of one. The thermal mass combination is where this system becomes something remarkable. The stove heats the surrounding clay and stone walls during the firing period. Those walls then radiate heat back into the room for 12 to 24 hours after the fire has died completely. The fire is the charger. The walls are the battery. You light it in the morning. You are still warm when you go to sleep that night, and warm again when you wake up the following morning. Clay rocket mass heaters built into the walls of homes across East Africa operate on exactly this principle. The stove and the wall are the same object. The heat source and the storage system unified into a single structure. I came across a clay rocket stove built into the wall of a home in East Africa, and I stood next to it hours after the fire had gone out, genuinely confused about where the warmth was coming from. The wall was the heater. The fire had been out for 6 hours. The room was still warm. That was the moment the physics stopped being abstract and became something I could feel through my hands pressed flat against the clay. Now here is what makes this the most financially significant method in this video. A traditional wood stove or open fire requires approximately 1 cord of wood per month during winter, at $200 to $300 per cord. A rocket mass heater requires 80% less fuel, dropping that monthly cost to $40 to $60. One cord per month versus 1/5 of a cord per month. Over a 5-month heating season, that is the difference between $1,000 to $1,500 in wood costs and $200 to $300. The clay and stone structure itself can be built from local materials for under $50 in the African tradition. One design decision, made once, producing an 80% permanent reduction in fuel cost every single winter for the life of the building. If this is the kind of knowledge that belongs in more people's hands, subscribe. We post 3 times a week, and every video is one thing African builders and grandmothers knew that the modern world forgot. But the rocket stove is one fire source in one location. What African builders discovered about the walls themselves is where this becomes something else entirely. Because the same walls that keep your home 20 degrees cooler in summer become your radiator in winter, and they require no fuel at all. If you watched our cooling video, you already understand thermal mass, but you only saw half of what it does. In summer, heat hitting the outside of an 18 to 24-inch mud brick wall at noon takes 8 to 12 hours to travel through to the interior. By the time it arrives, it is midnight. The outside has already cooled. The interior never reaches what the exterior hit during the day. In winter, the same principle operates in reverse. Heat from the sun hitting the exterior wall during daylight hours, or heat from an interior fire absorbed by the inner wall surface, travels slowly through 18 to 24 inches of dense mud brick. It reaches the interior 8 to 12 hours later, releasing into the living space while you are sleeping. The wall is your radiator, silent, continuous, requiring no fuel, no maintenance, and no monthly payment. Think of it as a savings account for heat. You deposit warmth during the day, and the wall pays it back with interest through the night. Except unlike a savings account, this one never charges a fee, never requires a login, and never stops working. The Great Mosque of Djenné in Mali, the largest mud brick structure on Earth, continuously inhabited for over 700 years, maintains comfortable temperatures year-round without any heating or cooling system whatsoever. Not because of any technology, because the mud brick walls are 18 to 24 inches thick, and physics works in both directions across both seasons simultaneously. The building does not have a summer mode and a winter mode. It has one mode, dense walls and the laws of thermodynamics, and it has been working continuously for 700 years without a single energy bill. In video 4, we covered how the Dords people of the Gamo highlands in Ethiopia, living at 8,200 feet where frost forms before sunrise, built homes that stayed warm through near-freezing nights without any mechanical heating system. The bamboo and end-set leaf structure trapped body heat and fire heat inside walls, designed to hold it. The same thermal lag principle at a different scale with different materials. Different community, same physics. African builders also oriented their structures to capture winter solar gains specifically, a practice that modern passive house designers call passive solar thermal mass design, and charge thousands of dollars to consult on. Traditional homesteads across the Ethiopian and Kenyan highlands face east and south. The morning sun enters the main living space directly. The afternoon sun warms the exterior walls. By evening, those walls are fully charged with solar heat and ready to release it through the night. Not a coincidence, not an accident of construction. A deliberate orientation decision that costs nothing to execute during building and nothing to operate for the lifetime of the structure. The dense stone and clay object principle extends this further. Heavy clay pots, stone blocks, and thick ceramic objects positioned near the central fire during the day absorb heat efficiently. Moved to sleeping areas in the evening, they radiate warmth for 6 to 8 hours. Dense material absorbs heat slowly and releases it slowly. That is the entire principle, and African communities applied it to everything around them: walls, floors, cooking vessels, sleeping stones, turning every dense object in the home into part of the heating system. The cost comparison. Modern insulation retrofits to achieve thermal performance comparable to an 18 to 24-inch mud brick wall cost $3,000 to $8,000 per home and still require a heating system running behind them. Monthly cost of the mud brick thermal mass system, 0. It does not run on anything. It does not fail in a power outage. It does not have moving parts. It does not require a service contract or a repair call. In many African highland climates, the thermal mass alone maintains comfortable sleeping temperatures through cold nights, with no fuel input whatsoever. The building is the heating system. That is not a metaphor. That is the engineering principle. But not every community had access to thick mud brick or stone for construction. Across the treeless Sahel, where building materials were available, but consistent fuel for fire was scarce, a completely different solution emerged, and a community on the opposite end of the earth independently discovered the exact same answer, for the exact same reason. The Mongolian steppe is treeless. The Sahel is treeless. Two landscapes, opposite ends of the earth, the same problem. Where do you find fuel when there are no trees within reach? Mongolian herders and African pastoral communities arrived at the same answer independently and without any contact between them. The animals already living among them. Dried cattle dung used as fuel across the Sahel. By Hausa Fulani pastoralists in northern Nigeria, Maasai communities in Kenya and Tanzania, and pastoralist communities across the Ethiopian highlands, produces steady, even, low-smoke heat for 8 to 12 hours on a single load. Compressed into flat cakes, dried in the sun over several days, stacked in organized fuel stores near the living space, the same preparation process on both continents, arrived at through the same logic by communities who had never heard of each other. The science? Dried animal dung has a calorific value of approximately 13 to 15 megajoules per kilogram, comparable to low-grade coal. It burns more slowly and evenly than wood, because of its dense, compressed structure and low volatile content. Less smoke, more sustained, steady heat output. The kind of burn that maintains a room temperature over hours, rather than spiking and dropping the way a wood fire does. Think of it as the slow cooker of fuel sources. Not dramatic, not impressive to look at, but reliably holding the right temperature for exactly as long as you need it. And here is the detail that makes this system genuinely remarkable in its efficiency. The fuel is a byproduct of the food system. The same animals that provide milk, meat, transport, and leather produce the fuel as a natural byproduct of eating. Nothing additional required, no separate purchase, no monthly delivery, no supply chain vulnerability. The food system and the heating system running simultaneously on the same inputs. A closed loop that produces zero waste and requires no external cost to maintain. The most efficient recycling program ever built, developed by communities who had no word for recycling because the concept of waste was not part of the system to begin with. The cost comparison. Cost in pastoral communities where livestock is kept, 0. The modern compressed biomass pellet, the closest commercial equivalent, costs $200 to $400 per ton. A 5-month heating season using pellets at that rate costs $400 to $800 for a modest home. The African pastoral community's equivalent cost for the same period, the same 0 it has always been. The fuel system is 5,000 years old. The pellet industry is less than 50. 3 methods: 1 combustion system, 1 building principle, 1 fuel source. Each one independently developed by African communities under conditions that required them to actually work. But the most elegant heating solution on this list requires no fire, no fuel, and no construction investment at all. It uses the earth itself. And you already know the principle, because we covered it in video 1, where it kept food stable through 115 degrees Sahelian heat. The same earth that keeps food cool in summer keeps people warm in winter. There is a physics principle that operates everywhere on Earth regardless of what happens on the surface above. At 6 feet underground, soil temperature stabilizes at the annual average air temperature of that location and holds there year-round through every winter and every summer, regardless of surface conditions. In the Ethiopian highlands, where surface temperatures drop near freezing at night, the temperature 6 feet underground sits at a stable 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Every night, every winter, without any input, without any fuel, without any system running. In video 1, we covered how African communities across sub-Saharan Africa used underground clay-lined storage pits to maintain stable food temperatures through extreme Sahelian heat. The same physics that protected food from the heat protects people from the cold. Some Saharan communities built partially underground sleeping chambers, using the Earth's own thermal stability to maintain a sleeping environment of 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit through cold desert nights. Not a heating system. The permanent elimination of the heating problem. There is no bill for the Earth's thermal mass. There is no power outage that affects what happens 6 feet underground. The architectural choices above ground carry the same logic. Traditional African homes feature low doorways, not for aesthetic reasons, not for cultural symbolism, but to reduce cold air infiltration. Cold air is denser than warm air. It sinks to floor level. A low doorway limits the column of cold air that enters each time the door opens. Small detail, permanent effect, zero ongoing cost. Room orientation follows the same principle of eliminating the problem before it enters. Traditional homesteads across the Ethiopian and Kenyan highlands face east and south, capturing maximum morning and afternoon solar gain during cold seasons while presenting minimal surface area to cold northern winds. One decision, made once during construction. No ongoing cost, no maintenance, no bill. And communal concentration of warmth is the final architectural principle, and the simplest. Instead of heating an entire structure, the family concentrates in one well-heated room, everyone together. Body heat as a community resource. A family of 6, sleeping together in a well-insulated space, generates significant warmth that a single person sleeping alone in a large room cannot. We covered the communal sleeping arrangement in video 4, the Dords people positioning elders and children closest to the central fire, adults forming an outer protective ring, the combined body heat of the household raising the interior temperature significantly above what the fire alone achieved. Modern energy efficiency research confirms what African highland communities practiced for centuries. Shared sleeping spaces reduce heating costs by 15 to 25%. The researchers needed funding and a controlled study to confirm it. African grandmothers needed a cold night and common sense. The cost comparison, south-facing orientation, low doorways, underground sleeping chambers, communal room concentration, all one-time construction or behavior decisions. Monthly ongoing cost, 0. Modern HVAC system to achieve comparable comfort in a standard American home. $150 to $300 per month during winter, plus maintenance costs, plus the risk of breakdown on the coldest night of the year. 5,000 years of African building science versus 140 years of mechanical heating. One of them has a monthly cost, one of them never has. Every one of these principles has a version you can apply this week in the home you already live in. South-facing window management, cost, 0. Open south-facing window coverings fully during daylight hours in winter to capture solar gain. Close them completely at sunset to trap what was collected during the day. The African principle of solar orientation applied to your existing windows. 0 cost. Immediate reduction in heating load starting the first day you do it. Door and window sealing. Cost. Under $30. Drat excluders on all external doors. Window seal tape on all windows. The African low doorway principle applied to a modern home. 15 to 25% reduction in heat loss from one afternoon of work and under $30 in materials from any hardware store. Room concentration. Cost: an immediate reduction in your heating bill. Instead of heating the whole house, heat one room completely and close off the rest. The African principle of heat concentration. Your heating system runs less. The room you are in is warmer. The bill drops the same month you start. Thermal mass addition. Cost: $200 to $800. Add heavy ceramic tiles, stone flooring, or brick interior walls to increase the thermal mass of your existing home. These materials absorb heat during the day and release it slowly at night, reducing temperature swings and heating load by 20 to 40%. One-time cost: zero ongoing expense for the lifetime of the materials. Rocket stove. Cost: under $50 in materials. A clay and fire brick rocket mass heater can be built in a weekend. Plans are freely available online. 80% less fuel than a conventional wood stove or open fireplace. The combustion chamber that African builders developed before any Western engineer named it. Available to you this weekend for the cost of fire bricks and clay. 5,000 years, across 54 countries. In conditions ranging from the near-freezing Ethiopian highlands to the cold Saharan nights that most people do not know exist. African builders solved the heating problem completely. With clay, with stone, with the orientation of a doorway and the thickness of a wall, with the fuel their animals provided as a byproduct of eating, with the stable temperature the earth maintains 6 feet below the surface at no cost. The modern heating system is 140 years old. These methods are 5,000 years old. One costs you $1,500 to $2,500 every winter, depends on a grid you cannot control, and fails the moment the power goes out. The other costs almost nothing, has never once failed in a power outage, has never sent a bill, has been keeping families warm through near-freezing nights for longer than most modern nations have existed. That knowledge did not disappear, it was buried, and now you have it. The next video covers 20 African food secrets that scientists called primitive for decades, then confirmed were genius. That video is already up. Subscribe. 3 videos every week, and every one of them is something African grandmothers knew that the modern world is only now catching up to. If this knowledge belongs in more people's hands, share it with someone who opened their heating bill this month and felt it.